Hello, welcome to another episode of Gull Mouth Action Podcast, where we take a look at all the latest goings on at Brighton and Hove Albion, Crawley Town and Sporting Sussex. But this week we're focusing purely on Brighton. I'm Mark Dunford, and I'm this week joined by Brighton and Hove Albion writers Sam Morton and Richie Mills, and columnist, lifelong Brighton fan and all-round legend Ian Hart. The Seagulls have so far enjoyed a dream debut European campaign, topping their Europa League group ahead of European heavyweights Marseille, Ajax and AEK Athens. I don't think we can call them heavyweights, but Albion secured top spot courtesy of a late João Pedro strike against Marseille to send Roberto De Zerbi's charges into the last 16. We'll look back at a memorable Europa League campaign so far for Brighton and reflect on all the latest Albion action in the Premier League. You can read all the stories we are talking about with videos and pictures online at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. Check out other great videos on Shots TV and Freeview Channel 276. And you may also be watching this on Latest TV. So thank you for tuning in if you are watching it on Latest TV. So João Pedro's 88th minute strike saw Brighton beat Marseille 1-0 in front of a raucous Amex crowd to leapfrog their French opponents and finish first in Group B. You were there, Sam. Can you sum that game up for us?
It was incredible, really. It was one of the games of the season for Brighton. It was a strange one because obviously they were already qualified going into it. They knew that they're already through to the next round of the Europa League. But the game basically decided whether they would go into a knockout round or a playoff round or straight through to the round of 16. And they knew that Marseille only needed a point. So the onus was on Brighton to get the 3 points to go back to the top of the group. And they definitely were the better team and that they had all the possession, most of the chances, but they were made to wait until right at the end of the game when João Pedro scored. It was a superb goal, really, really good finish. And it
was a great finish, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fantastic. And the crowd went absolutely crazy. I've never seen a reaction like it at the Amex. I think it was really up there with one of the all-time moments, I think, in the Amex. And fans have definitely compared it with some of the best moments. And I think that is the best one since Alexis McAllister's last second penalty against Man United last season. I think in the 8th minute of injury time. So it was an excellent moment. It put Brighton to the top of the group. And it's so important when you think the number of games that Brighton have had this season and the injuries they've had. I think just to be able to play 2 fewer games in the new year is just a real bonus. And to go straight through to the round of 16 is incredible and just a new chapter in the crazy story of Brighton in the last few years.
Absolutely. Post-match, João Pedro said scoring the winner was the best moment of his life, while RDZ admitted the Marseille result was the best moment in his time at the Seagulls. Where does this performance rank among Albion's and RDZ's best at Brighton, Richie?
Well, I think it's got to be right up there. I think from sort of, first minute to last, I think there are games where Brighton have probably played better during De Zerbi's tenure. The one that kind of stands out for me was Brighton's 3-0 win against Arsenal last season at the Emirates to sort of crush their faltering Premier League title hopes. But in terms of just coming up with the goods when they really needed it, João Pedro, 30 million is not cheap, but he's definitely making it seem as if it's a very good, worthwhile purchase. I think they weren't sort of clicking in all areas. I think, Matoma's still maybe not quite at his best. Adingra, although he's sort of getting into good position, sometimes his final ball wasn't quite there. Pascal Gross is still playing fantastically well. Although he didn't obviously miss a bit of a big chance on the weekend, but we'll come to that, I'm sure. Obviously Brighton have got lots of injuries, but I think if you sort of weigh up all the fact that they're playing, midweek weekend, they've got a lot of injuries. This is sort of uncharted territory for them. If you sort of put that all into the mix, then it is definitely one of the sort of the most, standout wins from his tenure. And, with the fact that they have got sort of a threadbare squad, and I think this weekend De Zerbi joked that he might have to play Jason Steele at right back after Joel Veltman's injury. For them not to have to do another 2 legs against a Champions League time, team.
Yeah, so important.
That's a big boost. So, I think better performances, but a really monumental result.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Harty, you've been in Dreamland, haven't you? I think you've attended all the group stage games, haven't you? What has the
all of the
been? Sorry.
Hello. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So, what has the experience been like as a Brighton fan, and what have been your highlights of a memorable campaign so far?
Well, it's been superb. Just want to pick you up. You said AEK. You wouldn't call them European giants. They were the only people that beat us in
Yeah,
in the
but
group.
they're not giants, though, are they?
When you think it's the greatest, one of the greatest, got to be one of the comebacks in European club football. 110 minutes into our European campaign, we'd lost at home to AEK and we're 2-0 down against Marseille. To come back from that and win the group is absolutely dreamland.
Yeah,
I've had a few. I've had quite a mixed bag on my travels. I famously missed the first 35 minutes in Marseille because our got delayed. I got headbutted in Amsterdam and tear gassed in Athens. So I'm going to draw to see what happened to me next. But the thing that got me about Thursday, it was, and 50 years, it was one of the great nights. And just before we came on air, you gents were talking about theatre trips and going up to see Back to the Future and Book of Mormon and whatever, and Jersey Boys. Now, any theatre goer, would they leave 10 minutes before the end? But why
Absolutely
do I
not.
see people leaving the Albion at 86 minutes, even earlier than that? And then now they've missed out. They must be absolutely devastated because they have missed out. I've got to put my hands up. I have only left early once in 50 years at an Albion home game. We were playing Sudbury in the FA Cup replay in 1996. And we were 0-0. And we could still be playing now and we wouldn't have scored. And I knew, because my wife was out working and I had a babysitter who had exams, I knew I was wasting my time and that of the time of my babysitter. So I left at 90 minutes before extra time and we lost on penalties. But I was watching people on, Thursday night leaving at 0-0. Yeah, we rode our luck. They hit the woodwork a couple of times. But we know the footballing gods smile on the Albion when it really matters. I knew that goal was coming. I think Pedro, I don't want to do Evan Ferguson a disservice now, but we can wax lyrical about him as much as we want. Pedro is the better player and will always be the better player. In 3 years' time, when there's a World Cup in America, Canada, Mexico, and wherever else they're going, the Republic of Ireland might be there, and Ferguson might be up front for the Republic of Ireland. He probably will be up front for them, whether they're there or not. Pedro will be the number 9 for Brazil, one of the best teams in the world. That's how good this boy is. Luther Blissett told Paul Cameron and the boys at the club last summer, you don't realise what you've got for your money. You have got a world-class player in the making. And so Pedro really excites me. So, when he jumped into the crowd, that's the stuff of dreams. I know the stewards and the health and safety executive going mad, aren't they? Did he get booked? Because I was still on a high.
He got booked. Yeah, he did.
He did get booked. But why is he getting booked? We just won a European group. He's just scored a wonder goal at home. He's just given us the greatest ending to a group stage. And we get a card. Absolutely mad. But it has been a great experience. Probably the squad isn't quite big enough to cope with all these injuries. We've had this European hangover, haven't we? I don't think, have we not won a game after Europe? Have we not won a game after Europe?
You beat Sheffield United, didn't they? Was that the one that they did?
As a draw.
We didn't beat
Sheffield United.
Oh, shut up.
We drew 1-1, Mark. This is the whole point. We dropped points against Fulham Sheffield United, and we've drawn with Burnley. Now, that wasn't after Europe, to be fair. So, I just think, look, we've got to go with the positives. We're now seeded. I don't actually fear any team in this competition because with the manager that we've got and the players we've got when they're fit and on their day, I think we can beat anyone. Imagine us winning a European competition. Crazy, isn't it?
It'll be incredible. It'll be absolutely incredible. On that point, obviously, you've avoided the playoff. You go straight into the last 16, and there's the likes of Rangers, Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen, Villarreal. They all top their respective groups, but you got like the likes of AC Milan and Benfica dropping down from the Champions League. Yeah. It's not until February the draw, is it? So who would you fancy in the next round? Where do you want to go?
Bearing in mind my misfortune on the road so far with my aforementioned incidents, I don't want to go to Galatasaray because I'm not sure I'd come back. But no, look, let's do a Milan. Let's do Benfica. Yeah, I did say that I wouldn't mind, and you have to be careful when you say this, going to Young Boys or Salzburg or something like that, something a bit refined. Castles and cathedrals, something, because we have been, the old velvet bag has thrown us up 3 places that, in places, the cities that we visited have been welcoming. Parts of Amsterdam, very welcoming. But we've also had 3 sets of supporters that were somewhat robust. And that's the nicest way of putting it.
Very diplomatic. Yeah.
I don't, when they bust us back from Marseille, every stop we came to, every set of traffic lights or junction, there was a Marseille local, in inverted commas, threatening to slit my throat, which I thought was very consistent, wasn't it? Because there wasn't a traffic stop that didn't happen there. But look, it is what it is. If we want to win it, we have to draw. We have to play who we draw. We can't play anybody from our own country till the last 8, can we?
I think that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
And but being that, because both West Ham and Liverpool and Rangers are all seeded anyway, I think it's good with the seeding that we have the home leg second. But look, let's just embrace it. Let's just enjoy it. How does it work? Because you boys are a lot younger than me and you're well read. If we sign anybody in the transfer window, if they haven't played in Europe, they can play, can't they?
Who wants to answer that?
So I think unless they've already played, they won't be.
But that's in all competitions. So if they played in the conference, either the Champions League or our cup comp, they're all cup tied.
I believe you can register players again in January. So, for example, Jakob Moder's wasn't in the European squads for the first half of the season. But I think in January you can sort of refresh your 25-man Premier League squad and the other cup competitions. So there could be a bit of a rejig.
Well, if that's so, then Uncle Tony, a Christmas list to you. Can you go and sign Conor Gallagher, please? Because he's not cup tied. And
no, fair enough, yeah.
And my aim is to work with his auntie on British Airways, and he's mates with Billy Gilmore, and he loves the South Coast. So it's all synergy, and it's all working into one. Connor, come and join us. We'll forget the Palace loan thing. That we will never speak of that again. But come and join us.
Richie, what do you think of that?
Whoa. I don't know. There's going to be, I think, more time might need to have passed for there to be that synergy that you talk of. I'm not sure if that will go down too well.
He got a lot of abuse only last week, didn't he, at Stamford Bridge when he got sent off? I think the Brighton fans definitely gave him an earful. Yeah. So been interesting.
Well, look, time is a great healer. He's a quality player, isn't he? And we do. In all seriousness, with this squad, and we've learned the lessons of the Thursday, Sunday. Although sometimes it's about taking your chances. So the injuries have hurt us. We need 2 quality signings in the transfer window, a statement of intent. Because we've now got, we're not going to win, I'm going to upset a lot of people. We're not going to win the Premier League this year. I think that's gone. But we still have now 2 competitions in the FA Cup and the Europa League that we could win if the squad is strong enough and stays injury free. So I think with that in mind, 2 big signings, a statement of intent. And Richie, I've got to take issue with you. Football fans, a bit like goldfish. Sometimes they have long memories, sometimes they don't. If he comes in for us and hits the ground running and links up with wee Billy Gilmore, who is turning out to be a quality player, people will forget. We forgot when Glenn had his sabbatical at Selhurst Park, didn't we? You know, one of my heroes. Banging in.
I think he had a bit of money in the bank though beforehand. He'd sort of earned his stripes.
Yeah, but look,
but yeah, it's a fair point.
It'll be interesting. But just out of interest, Richie, and I won't hold you to it. If we could have 2 quality signings, can you see anybody out there that would fit into our team? You know how it works.
It's a good question. I'm not going to avoid the question, but I am going to say that
this is like Michelle Moan.
De Zerbi has basically said that the starting 11 isn't as good as it was last season because they lost Caicedo, McAllister, and Colwell. And I do feel that generally the midfield is an area that in last season was sort of dominating teams.
Yeah,
you know, that sort of pivot of McAllister and Caicedo was just so potent. And I feel they've lost that edge. So I do feel that if they can, I completely agree. I do feel that if they can sign a real enforcer in midfield and maybe a bit more of a creative attacking midfielder, just to help unlock defenses sometimes when they put every man behind the ball. I think
sort of like a Conor Gallagher type, yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think they need to build the midfield around Billy Gilmore. Though I think Billy Gilmore's been exceptional, and he's only getting better and better every game. I think that game against Marseille, he was by far the best I've ever seen him. He was probably a 10 out of 10 performance from him. Really, he was exceptional. I think it was 2 nutmegs, about 4 tackles in the box. And, he's brilliant.
Absolutely, and he's the unsung hero. He's the unsung hero of it all. But it's about blending in. It's about your surroundings. Where does he live? Worthing. That's all we need to say. He's a Worthing boy.
Excellent. Right, we went off topic a little bit there, but yeah, good discussion. Quickly, Sam, who would you like to see him get in the next round?
I think AC Milan would be a great one. AC Milan or Roma, one of those 2.
Oh, get Mourinho. Love it. Yeah, absolutely. And Richie?
I think I've seen online some Brighton fans dreading the prospect of Galatasaray and Wilfried Zaha knocking them out.
That'd be a nightmare.
On the flip side, it would be funny to maybe get one back on him. But yeah, I think sort of the going to like the San Siro, that would be pretty epic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Before Brighton's heroics at Marseille, they were held to a 1-1 draw by relegation-threatened Burnley, thanks in no small part to a sensational goalkeeper performance from Clarets keeper James Trafford. Sam, what was that game like? It seems like a long time ago now.
It does, yeah. It was a frustrating game. I think it's one of those where Brighton have kind of deja vu, really. They've had it against Fulham, Sheffield United, Burnley. I think it's one of those games where they're expected to win. They've come in on the back of a European game, and they've not been firing on all cylinders. And I think against Burnley, I suppose it was slightly different because they had lots of shots on goal, but James Trafford, as you say, was exceptional and was saving everything. And then Burnley took the lead for a deflected strike, and you kind of fear the worst at that point. It's just history repeating itself, and Brighton not putting the chances away and really just taking the game away from Burnley when they had the chances. But thankfully, they did get a point, and Simon Adingra scored a cracking header from a Pascal Gross cross, which is an excellent cross, and it was a really nice goal. And I think definitely the least Brighton deserved from the game. Really, it was frustrating that they didn't get the win, but as long as they didn't lose and they kept that run going of scoring, obviously that it was eventually ended at Arsenal, but they managed to score another Premier League game and kept that run going. And I think De Zerbi did say at the end of the game that they're not going to be a top team until they win these type of games, and he's not going to be a top manager until they win these type of games. And obviously, it was probably said in the heat of the moment, but you can kind of see where he's coming from. Really, I think Brighton, they need to find that balance, I guess, and it's difficult with all the injuries they've got, and they're never able to play one solid team week in, week out, and that's just something completely out of their hands. But I think, yeah, as time goes on and they get more used to playing in the European games, you'd hope that it's not going to be a one-off, that you'd hope they get used to it and they'll be able to follow that up with a good performance in the league as well.
So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. You can catch up with all the sports news, everything we've covered and talked about today at sussexworld.co.uk. You can watch more excellent videos on shotstv.com and Freeview channel 276. And you can also see us if you're watching us on Latest TV, lots of extra stuff on Latest TV.